Reading of Vows, Part 1. The Pundit speaks. By erecting the maru, it beautifies the house. By eating the madhupak, it cleanses the body of the bridegroom. Performing the hawan pleases the devtas. Going around the fire pleases the agant dev. But if the bride does not occupy the seat to the left of the groom, the marriage is incomplete. While giving away the bride, her father addresses the audience and especially the bridegroom as follows. Today, by the sacred fire and rituals in the presence of the Hindu Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, the various planets, sun, moon, stars, heaven and earth, and in this assembly I am giving my daughter in marriage to the bridegroom. My daughter is tender in age and quite inexperienced in the ways of a householder's life. She will need your advice and teachings. If her ways and habits are not in accordance with yours, it is your duty to change them to your ways by example and gentle warnings in the religious way of ours. If at any time she commits any wrong, either knowingly or otherwise, I trust that you will remember that I have placed her as your lifetime companion with humility, and that your mode of correction will be mild and filled with love and reason. I beg that you will always keep her under your dharma, love and protection. The bridegroom asks the bride to sit on his left side. O my beloved, you have been given to me in this sacred and solemn marriage ceremony, both by your father and brother. So I ask you now to sit at my left side. If there is any doubt in your mind and you want it cleared, please speak your mind. After being asked, the bride now speaks. The bride addresses the bridegroom as follows. I am now leaving the happy home, the love and protection of my parents, to become your life companion in your home and under your care and protection. I pledge that I will share this householder's life with you, both in pleasure and pain, happiness and sorrows, wealth and poverty, health and illness, fame and ill name. I hereby place my life at your feet, my Lord, that I will dwell in dharma and maintain our tradition of the sanctity of Hindu marriage under all conditions. But before taking my rightful place on your left side, I must insist of your promise and constant obedience of these 7 conditions. 1. If at any time you have to do a yajna, attend a religious ceremony, or go on a pilgrimage, I desire that you ask and obtain my consent, and I be allowed to accompany you if possible. 2. If at any time you desire to do Pitra Yagna, or worship of the ancestors, I desire to be asked to join in such devotions. If at any time my parents face dishonor, poverty, or illness, you as my husband are expected to render assistance to relieve their distress. If at any time you desire to serve our community, build a temple, or involve in other religious and social service, I ask that I be allowed to join in such activities. If at any time you may have to leave home and go abroad on business or pleasure, I must have the assurance that our welfare at home will be secured. I also insist that my prior consent be asked and obtained. If at any time you are to make gifts, lend or borrow, I request that my consent be asked and obtained. You are to be the God of our home. I ask you now that our love and affection should grow and mature as we advance in age, that you do not allow the remarks and observations of an unworthy and dishonorable person to cause strife between us. I do not want you to speak harshly or angrily with me when we are in the company of friends, as today this sacred ceremony, invocation of the mantras by the pundits, the blessings of our mutual love, have all joined us together for life. Let us remain so until our Creator is pleased to take us back. Reading of the Vows, Part 2. The bridegroom replies to the bride, "The promise of my consent, obedience to and upholding of the 7 conditions, I give with pleasure. I call upon the Trinity, the planets, and this assembly, and the sacred fire to bear witness of my promise to you. I vow to carry out your 7 conditions, and I now insist that you vow to keep these 5 conditions. 1. You shall conduct yourself in society and at home in such a manner that you never bring disgrace to our honored name. 2. In my absence, you are expected to accommodate and entertain any acquaintance or visitor to our home, according to our dharma, means, and their social standings. Your conduct towards them should at all times be beyond reproach. 3. Should there ever be a domestic friction between us, you must never bear this in mind, because such differences are common in every home. It is either a curse or a blessing that exists in every home. Therefore, you must not leave our home on such differences, as such action on your part may cause only public scandal and shame. Such shame and scandal lead to disunity in a home and can bring about separation, and the separation is not in conformity with the laws of the Dharma and the domestic history of our forefathers. 4. You are to be punctual, careful, responsible, and regular to your domestic duties, so that no inconveniences are done to me. You are to be the goddess of our home. Today, by God's grace, I hope to share a comfortable home with you. But should adversity be our lot, you are expected to share this with me with realism and hope. My adversity should be your adversity. My discomfort should be your discomfort, and my poverty should be your poverty. As I have promised to love and cherish you and work for your welfare, you are expected to do likewise. If ever I can no longer work for your welfare due to illness, you should assist me." The bride replies, "I readily consent to the 5 conditions, and I call upon the Trinity, the planets, the sacred fire, and this assembly to bear witness to my vows." The bride now sits on the left side of the groom.